What's up YouTube? My name is Spencer Ryan, and in today's video we're going to be talking about this lens right here. This lens, this one. There we go. Camera, focus. Yes. This is the Sigma 16mm f1.4 contemporary lens, and it is for the Sony E-mount cameras, aka the camera that I'm filming on right now, the a6500, and other cameras like the a5100, a6300, all of those cameras. This lens is what that is for. And I gotta tell you guys, this is a good one. But right now I'm gonna stop you and I'm going to ask you to go ahead and click that subscribe button, and if you don't want to click it right now, please just keep it in mind later in case I do bring you value. Click that subscribe button and smash that little bell button so that you know every time I drop a video like this. Okay guys, bad news about this video. After basically editing this and watching it, I noticed that the audio levels on this video are super blown out. So I looked at my Rode VideoMic Pro and I saw that I accidentally pressed the plus 20 decibels button and my camera was not calibrated for that. So some of the audio levels in this video are going to be a little bit overblown. I reduced the gain, so you shouldn't get too many pops, crackles, and whatever else snaps, but you may just a little bit of overblown audio, but I did fix it as best as I can, so don't let that stop you from watching this video. Let's go ahead and hop right back in because there's so much value I want to give you guys about this lens. So the very first thing I want to talk about is why I even picked this lens up. See, this is almost like upwards of a $500 lens, and that's not cheap. But here's the thing, when I first started shooting Sony, I was living in the Dominican Republic. I got my Sony a5100 and it came with this. This right here is the Sony Kit lens that comes with all of the crop sensor A-series cameras, and this right here is a 16-50 f3.5. Now this lens, mind you, this lens is incredible. When I first got my camera and I started shooting with this, I was in awe. As a matter of fact, this picture right here was taken when I was in DR with this lens, and you can see it's super crispy, it's beautiful. And that's the thing, like that was the first thing that really impressed me about this lens. However, there is something about this lens that you need to be aware of, and that is that this aperture is limited to 3.5. Meaning this lens is not going to do very well in low light situations. And as a filmmaker and a YouTuber and a photographer, I'm in low light situations a lot, and that was starting to get very annoying. It was very necessary for me to have a lens that could perform well in low light so that I could film and take pictures and all of that stuff when lighting conditions were not optimal and I couldn't bring lights with me everywhere I go. So I had spent months looking for the right lens. I didn't know which one to get. I kind of looked into some Sony lenses, and I wasn't really super impressed with what I saw. I saw a lot of other influencers on YouTube using Sony lenses. I think it was the 24 to, I don't even remember which one it was. I'll put it right here, and that was the lens that I was looking at. But I didn't want to pull the trigger. First of all, the lenses were super expensive. Second of all, I wasn't really sure if it was going to make that much of a difference. And third, whatever lens I just put here, I remember this specifically, the aperture was not wide enough for me. I didn't like it, so I didn't pull the trigger on it. However, 2 months down the road after I started looking for lenses, I found this Sigma 16mm f1.4, and I started watching videos. I started binge watching videos about this lens, and surprisingly, there's not a lot out there. Not a lot of people are using this lens or don't talk about it really. I know that Daniel Schiffer has this lens. I know a couple of other people have this lens, but they don't really talk about it that much. And that was kind of a little scary for me because I wanted to pull the trigger on this lens. It's, you know, on paper, this was everything. 16mm, same exact focal length as this, and this is what I was using for vlogging at the time. So the 16mm for me was absolutely perfect. The only thing was the aperture. The aperture wasn't right. So this was 16mm f1.4. Now mind you, most like nifty 50s are f1.8, so this goes wider than that. And interestingly enough, I actually saw a video with Peter McKinnon the other day. If you don't know who Peter McKinnon is, he's an awesome filmmaker. You should go look him up on YouTube. But he was asked in a question and answer, he said, you know, he was asked what his favorite lens to use was if he could only pick one.
It's from Moment. He's the guy with the awesome mustache. He says, if you had one focal length to shoot the rest of your life, what would it be? I would say 24 mil 1.4. It's just like, it's not too wide, it's not too telephoto, and it's super bright, and it's just sharp, and it's good. I like it.
He mentioned the 24mm f1.4. Now, Peter shoots full frame on the 1DX Mark II. I shoot crop sense on the a6500, and the 24mm f1.4 is equivalent to the 16mm f1.4. So I found that to be very interesting. It was kind of like a proud moment because I was like, oh, I agree. That's my favorite lens to shoot with too. It's pretty cool. Right off the bat, I knew that I wanted to get this. I just didn't know if it was gonna be worth it. However, I purchased it, and guys, it's worth it. I'm shocked. This lens is so crispy clear. It performs so well in low light conditions. The depth of field on this thing is amazing, especially because of that wide open aperture, the bokeh. Oh my goodness, the bokeh, guys. But I can't just sit here and I can't tell you that this lens is amazing, all right? It's kind of hard to tell somebody that they need a $500 lens. But at the same time, it's also hard to tell a client, I can't shoot this video because there's not enough light. And that was exactly what I was struggling with here. But just to give you guys some reference, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw some pictures up here on the screen. One of them is gonna be taken on the Kit lens, the 16 to 50mm Sony lens, and the other is gonna be taken on the Sigma, and we're gonna point out a couple of things about it. Let's do it. All right, guys, so what I wanted to do to make this more realistic is I wanted to load all of the photos into Lightroom. I didn't wanna make any edits, didn't want to touch them at all, and this is going to show us exactly what the raw photo looked like. So we're going to start with each photo on the Kit lens, and then we're going to see what it looks like on the Sigma lens, because I just feel like it's naturally progressive to show the better picture later. This is a shot of my messy bedroom. Please ignore this. This right here was taken on the Sony Kit lens. As you can see, it is kind of dark. For the sake of simplicity, what I did with all of these pictures is I shot them at the same exact shutter speed and the same exact ISO of 2000. What I did change, however, is the aperture. Because I wanted to show that the Sigma can handle low light better, I shot on the Sigma lens at 2.5 and I shot on the Sony Kit lens at 3.5. Now I do understand that the aperture can make a difference and that a kind of like a more narrow aperture will result in a sharper photo. However, what you will see is that is actually not the case. Even though the aperture is wider on the Sigma lens, you're gonna see that it's much sharper. So Sony Kit lens, as we zoom in, you can see a lot of noise in this picture because of the low light issues. And if we zoom all the way into something like this plant here, you can kind of see that the detail is lost. However, when we switch over to the Sigma lens, a lot less noise in my opinion. It's still there, but the detail is actually a lot crisper. As a matter of fact, a lot more of the lines of the plant are shown, they're not lost, and it's just an overall better picture in my opinion, not to mention the light capabilities. As you can see, a lot of the detail on the lines are lost here. However, when we zoom all the way in on this picture, you can see the lines very clearly. That is something to keep in mind. Also, one thing that you will see is that on the Sigma lens, you have a lot more lens distortion than you do on the Kit lens. The Kit lens shows exactly straight lines, and on the Sigma lens, you can see line curvature here. Next is a shot of an Xbox controller. This is the Sony Kit lens, and as you can see, not a lot of noise issues. It's there, but it's not too bad. However, we don't have a lot of detail here because this was shot again in low light. When we switch to the Sigma lens, you can see a lot more detail showing up here. You can see a TV back here, and ultimately it's a better picture in my opinion. A lot more detail is saved. I know that the focus points aren't exactly equal, but even here you can see there's just more detail retained and just an overall better picture on the Sigma. Oh, that would be nice if I could talk. And moving on, this one is kind of a bad example because unfortunately I didn't realize it until after, but the Sony didn't even get the focus point correct. This is a picture of some dying roses. Interesting photography choices, right guys? You can see that it's still a good picture, it's still got some clarity in here. Noise isn't too bad on this picture, but on the Sigma lens, obviously much better lighting, much more detail, just an overall better picture, and a lot more depth of field as well. Last but not least is a picture of my kitchen. Please ignore my ugly kitchen. This was taken with the Sony Kit lens. Again, low light, also resulting in a lot of noise here. And these were actually optimal bright, conditions, guys. This wasn't like completely dark, but it was decent. And then right here, you can see with the Sigma lens, a lot crispier, a lot more detail, and just overall better lighting conditions. Now, you're not going to see a terrible difference in the amount of quality, but some things you'll see a lot more. Like, I noticed that when I post pictures to Instagram and videos as well using the Sigma lens, because of the detail that's lost in the Kit lens, it actually retains a much sharper image after going through Instagram's processing. When I would post with the Kit lens, I would get kind of subpar pictures, kind of like if you took a picture with an iPhone. But when I would, post pictures and videos from the Sigma lens, they were a lot sharper and a lot better. So what you're seeing on the screen now are some real world examples of pictures that I've taken and posted to Instagram or used for clients. These pictures are all pictures that I've taken with the Sigma, just so you can get an idea of the results that you can attain with this lens. Most of them I am very proud of, I am happy with, and I honestly think that the Sigma takes a really good quality picture. It's a quality piece of glass. Granted, for the amount of money that you spend on it, it should be, but when it comes to photography, especially professional photography and professional filmmaking, these kinds of things matter. All right, so that's photo. Now let's talk about video, because video is a big part of my work as well, and that was another reason why I got this lens, because I wanted to be able to shoot video in low light conditions. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing we did before with pictures, but now we're gonna do it with video. We're gonna take the exact same scene, I'm gonna shoot it with the Kit lens that Sony includes, and then I'm gonna shoot it with the 16mm Sigma lens. All right, guys, I'm gonna play this video for you in 1 second. One thing to keep in mind is that I did already pre-render this, so it is a little bit distorted. It did lose quality. So this isn't directly raw out of the camera. However, with that said, you will still be able to see the differences. Each video, the first one is going to be with the Kit lens and the second is going to be with the Sigma. So this is just one of the plants in my house. As you can see, low light is a little bit of a problem here. A lot brighter with the Sigma and a lot more clarity, but more depth of field. Here, pay attention to the surface of the speaker. You can see a lot more of the dust, a lot more clarity. Here on the refrigerator, pay attention to the control panel, a lot more clarity there as well. I feel like the Sigma does a much better job when it comes to video recording and getting that clarity and making sure that everything is crystal clear, which in turn is gonna help you when posting to things like YouTube and Instagram, because YouTube and Instagram already have algorithms that compress your video quality. So the better it looks before the compression, the better it's gonna be once it's on the platform. All right, so that's it. That's a pretty fair comparison between these two lenses. Now, the ultimate question that you're gonna be left with is, do I buy it? Do I drop the $500 on this lens, or do I just stick with the Sony Kit lens? And honestly, that's personal preference. I can't tell you, you have to get this lens. I just love when the camera, oh, look at that. I love when it puts this into focus. It's just so awesome. It's really personal preference as to whether or not you want to purchase it or not. For me, it was important. It was important to have low light conditions that were capable of shooting in, because this is what I do for a living. I'm a freelancer and I need to be able to shoot in low light conditions. For you, you may not. You may be just like a daytime vlogger, and if you're a daytime vlogger, this lens will probably work perfect for you. You may just be a hobbyist photographer, and if that's something that you want to do, this lens will work perfect for you. You may have only bought your Sony camera specifically to work as like a fancy point and shoot that you can interchange lenses, and if so, this lens probably works perfect for you. However, if you are kind of looking for something a little bit more professional grade, if you're looking for much more quality glass, if you're looking for something sharper, and you're looking for something that performs way better in low light conditions, this is the one. Now, there are a couple of things that need to be mentioned about this lens. This is a 16mm lens. It is a wide angle lens. And so again, as we mentioned before in the pictures, there are some lens distortions with this. Shooting, a wide angle lens and like shooting architecture, you're gonna see some curvature lines. Not stuff that's too bad that can't be fixed in Lightroom, but it is something to take account of. One more thing I do want to mention about this lens is, I'm not sure if this is normal or not, but when I bump my aperture all the way up to like f17, the lens starts to make a funny noise. Like, well, actually, it makes a funny noise, period, whenever it's autofocusing. The focus motor is a little bit loud. However, I have a video right here, and this is gonna show you exactly what happens when I bump my aperture up all the way to f17. See, as you can see, it was kind of struggling to even get focused. Like, it was constantly bouncing back and forth trying to focus. I don't know why. I don't know why it does that. I assume because less light is getting in to the camera sensor and into the camera body, and it just, I don't know. But if I can see the image clearly on the screen, I would think the computer should be able to see it clearly as well to determine what to focus on. That was weird to me. I don't know. But the focus motor makes a lot of noise. That's something to keep into account. But other than that, this lens is great. I definitely highly recommend it. It's a beautiful lens, beautifully constructed, very heavy. You could tell that when you buy this lens and you get it in your hands, you're like, okay, I bought something. Like, this isn't just some cheap plastic toy. Like, like, look at the difference. Sorry, I'm throwing my lenses in the air, but it's true. Like, you put these two lenses in your hand side by side and you think, wow, this one's a zoom lens, right? It can go from 16 to 50, and this one's a prime. It only stays at 16, and yet this thing is just, wow. Like, you could probably knock someone out with this lens, no lie. This one's not gonna do any, this one wouldn't even hurt a fly. Like, you could probably swat at a fly and nothing would happen. But this lens is a quality build, beautifully constructed, gorgeous piece of glass. And if I have to give my recommendation, if you're on the fence about this lens and you're not sure whether or not you want to buy it, I say do it. Get it. If you have the budget for it, get it. You're not going to regret it. You're going to love this lens. Plus, Peter McKinnon said this lens is the lens he likes to shoot with if he had only one. So it's probably good enough. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know that I should make more videos like this. Again, I'm gonna remind you one more time, please press the subscribe button if you liked the video, and press the bell button to get notifications every time I drop another video like this. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video. I will see you guys on the next one. I hope you all have a fantastic week, weekend, day, night, whatever the case it may be. And yeah, see you guys later. Peace.